welcome or welcome back. My name is Gina and I'm so glad that you have chosen to hang out with me. So today I'm doing something a little bit different than a normal knitting podcast, or at least, a normal knitting podcast for me, where I tell you about my works in progress and finished objects. Instead, what I am doing today is a little mid-year check-in. So I don't usually mention it on here, but I am a Knit Picks ambassador, and so what that means is that if you're in their ambassador program, they have like a menu of options of posts that you can make throughout the month. And if you make a post that fits within that category and mention their products and tag them and, you know, follow their little rules, you can earn points for it. And those points equate to, I call them yarn bucks. Like every point equates to $1 that you can spend on their website. So as part of the ambassadors program, there is a post this month that is a mid-year check-in, and I was like, you know what? That actually would be a great idea, I think, for a video. So yeah, you guys can see where I stand in terms of my overall year-long plans. So you might be saying, wait, Gina, did you even make plans? Because I don't think you ever said anything about that on the channel. And you would be right. I did, though, make a bingo card back at the beginning of the year. I just never got around to actually saying anything about it here. But it is on my Ravelry, and I'll link to it for what it's worth. So you can go see my bingo card and all of its beauty. I will flash it up here probably periodically throughout this video so you can see. But yeah, so this was actually an interesting little exercise to see where I am, and really more for me to plan out what I wanted to do with the rest of my year. So I have done a Make 9 before. I did that several years, and I ended up finding it a little bit stressful. I did accomplish several of the things on each of my Make 9s, but I just found it very restrictive to actually choose patterns, you know, nine specific patterns that I wanted to make. And so yeah, I guess I also am just a lemming, and a lot of people were making bingo cards, and I liked that idea. So I made a bingo card with 5 rows with 4 items each. So that's 20. I guess, I don't know if that's like a normal bingo card or not. I have not played bingo since I was a child, so who knows? But I filled mine up with some specifics and some like technique things, and then also some pattern designers that I wanted to try out. So we'll just go over and see where I stand. And I thought I'd talk through what I haven't done yet and the plans that I have for that. So first up is a square that I have not done, and I'm still not sure what I'm going to do or if I will get this one done. And that is an Aimee Sher pattern. I would really like to make one of their patterns. I've enjoy watching on their Instagram. Sometimes they'll post reels, I guess, of sort of talking through the process of how to get a well-fitting sleeve. I remember watching some of those in the springtime, and I've just always been impressed with their conscientiousness around, you know, being very size inclusive, getting testers of every size and shape to test them, and advertising all of those testers, and yeah, just really like their values, and they seem to put a lot of thought into their patterns. So I have it on my bucket list, you know, in life, to do one of those. So I put it on my bingo card, but I have not actually made any progress towards that goal. I do have the oolong tank in my library, so if I made any, like, that would probably be the one to start with. But the thing that continues to hold me back from that one is that it is knit bottom up, and I am not a fan of bottom up. If you are just dropping in for the first time, I have a 6-inch difference between my high bust and my full bust, so kind of hard for me to show you on here, but there is quite a large difference, and so that can make it hard for me to fit any garments, but especially when it's knit from the bottom up, because it's just really hard to make changes if you're, because I know that I do know that it is possible to math all of this out ahead of time, you know, to check your row gauge and stitch gauge and look at what the patterns got you doing and do all the math. I just don't normally do that. I go by, you know, trying it on, seeing how things are looking, and vibes. And it is really, really hard to fit something that is knit bottom up in that way. And so I haven't done it. So I think the oolong tank is really beautiful. Maybe I'll get to it, or maybe I won't. Maybe Aimee will release something else between now and the end of the year that I just can't resist, and that would be the perfect thing. But for now, I have not marked that one off. The next thing on the list is to finish my Soxolotl socks. So these are, I did not write down when I started these. These have been on my needles, a whip, for so long, at least 2-3 years now. And they've been basically completed except for all of the appendages for 3 years. So what happened originally was that I ran out of the pink yarn that I was using, the main color. This is knit with Hawthorn, or Knit Picks Hawthorn, in the colorway something with an N. Nymph, maybe? Is that right? I can't remember. It's one of their kettle dyed colors. It's the only light pink one. And these are going to be Soxolotl socks, if you can't tell. So yeah, so they've been, like, the sock part has been knit for over 3 years. And I just haven't gotten around to knitting on the appendages, because by the time my second ball of yarn came that I needed in order to be able to knit appendages, I had just lost steam. And so they have been sitting there 95% done for all of those years. And so last year I picked these up and I was like, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get this done. And I bought some yarn. This is one of Knit Picks' newer yarn lines called Mellizas. Let's see. I have the little tag, so I can show you that. This colorway is called Chloe's Pink. And this is, this is 85% superwash merino and 15% recycled polyamide. So that's nice. I actually didn't know that this was recycled. So that is good. And that is, like, such a cute pink. And I think it's perfect for my little Soxolotl contrast. I can't remember, like, this is actually the colorway called for in the pattern. Like, this is the yarn and colorway. Actually, now that I'm saying, I think Nymph might be like some kind of a blue aqua color. Maybe this is Camellia. Sorry, I did not look it up before I started this. So Knit Picks does still have this colorway though, so it exists. If you are dying to get it, you can go look at it. This pattern is by Emma Bermuse, I think is her name, and you have probably seen her pattern. She has been ripped off by, like, Shein, Temu, all of those, like, all of the scammy stuff on Facebook. Her alligator or crocodile, I think, socks got, like, super big. I had non-knitting friends who were, like, sending me ads that they had seen for that on Facebook from those scam sites. And anyway, she often, when she makes a fun pair of socks, she will release it for free the first week or so that it's out, which is really fun. And I have always snapped those up and never actually made them. But I am so close to being done on this guy. He's got all of his legs and 3 already 3 fin things, so he needs, I don't know what those are called, gills. He needs 3 more, and then there is actually still more to be done on this as far as little finishing touches. It actually needs eyelash yarn, which that was one of the things that had been keeping me from working on this. I didn't think I had any of that, but when I was cleaning out my closet, I actually came across a half-finished eyelash scarf from one of my earlier attempts to learn to knit way back in the early aughts, and thankfully, because I'm hoardy and just can't throw out anything that might be potentially useful, I still had that. So I think I'm not going to need to buy any eyelash yarn. I think because I just need just a few inches here and there, but I think I'm going to be able to cut out the colors that I need and enough to get on here, because of course it's variegated. Anyway, so finishing these is on my list, and if I could have these done in one night if I would just do it. It's just hard. And I will say, like, it's made harder because I keep stopping and starting on them. And so I have to go back and reread the pattern and try to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing. Anyway, I just need to do it. Not that I'm going to wear those outside of the house, but I want them done. They'll be cute for pictures, and hopefully I will enjoy wearing them around the house come winter time. All right. Another project that I have had on I want to make for a long time on my wish list, and did start this one earlier this year, is the book club cardie. And I am making great progress on this one. I've shown this on the podcast recently. I am in the final stages of getting the body finished. So I'm down here, and I just need to finish this diamond motif, and then I should be done as far as knitting the body section, and I'll just need to put on the hem, and then of course everything else. So I say just, but I do think that this project will go much faster for me once I have completed the body, because right now the rounds are just very, very long, and they won't be that long after I get that part finished. So even though I do still have some more pattern to work on the sleeves, they're going to go a lot faster for me. So I do anticipate having that one marked off in the next, well, I don't want to say when, but I could get it done in the next month or so if I would just give it some attention. So hopefully by the end of the summer, at least, because I may, if I can get that one done in time, I could enter it in the fair. So I am thinking about fair season coming up and what I can enter where in what categories. So, okay, let's see. Another item that I had, which is a long languishing whip, is, I should know this because I was just looking at it. I think this was in year 2023. It is June 11th right now, 2026. So back in 2023, I had signed up and did Jimmy Bean Wool's, they had like a blanket make-along where they would send you one skein of, I don't even remember, is it Malabrigo or is it Mad Tosh? Let's see. It is Madeline Tosh. They would send you one ball of mystery yarn. It was a surprise every month. So this is what they were sending, Mad Tosh Vintage. So you would get a different color every month, and you would have instructions that would tell you what to knit. It's all knit and garter stitch, and it's it's knit modularly, so you're knitting a little bit, and then sometimes you're picking up stitches and adding, to what you already have. So like here's a block, and you can see the problems that I have with this. This is probably going to be an utter disaster. Like I was already struggling with getting gauge to start with. I had to go down like 2 needle sizes to get the gauge of the pattern, which this was designed by Jen Geigley. I've never done any of her patterns, so I don't know if this is normal or if it's just me and this yarn and garter stitch or what it is, but I had, yeah, just a terrible time getting the right gauge to start with, and I had to go down 2 needle sizes, which at that time was really unheard of because even just a few years ago, I generally had to size up to match designers' gauges because I was such a tight knitter. I've really loosened up a lot in the last couple of years and don't generally have to do that. Sometimes now I have to size up. So anyway, at the time I'd had to size up 2 needle sizes. And so I don't know if it's just gauge issues. It could be me I have a hard time reading garter stitch and remembering how many rows I've done, or it could be the fact that 3 years have passed since I was working on this. But, yeah, it doesn't necessarily, like, you can see the pieces are pretty wonky. I'm hoping with some, you know, stretching, with blocking, some blocking magic, maybe we can make them not look like complete garbage, but I'm not confident in that at all. But at this point, like, I just want this thing done. I have had little bags of yarn sitting around in a basket for 3 years in a corner, and I am ready to reclaim this. So it's kind of hard to keep up with if you haven't been, well, even if you were doing it as you went along, like I've just been putting them in bags and marking like what month it was, because you have to go back, like, you know, so right now I'm working on September, and September is like, okay, go back and get your April and March triangle that you created and pick up stitches from that. And so you have to go into those areas and pull those up. And anyway, it's just kind of a mess. And yeah, so I don't like having all of that out, and I'm just really, really ready to get that done. And I figure even if it turns out to be a complete and total disaster, I can unravel it if nothing else, and use the yarn for something else, which might have been what I should have done to start with at this point, after waiting so long. But anyway, I didn't do it. And really it wouldn't take me that long if I would just work on it. I have gotten through like 3 months in a couple of nights just sitting in front of the TV while I'm giving my hands a rest from all of the summer fibers that I've been working with. So I've been doing a lot with cotton and linen and things like that, and that is not easy on your hands. So that has been my wool treat for my hands the last little while. So I'm hoping I have definitely already made progress on it, so that's good. But hopefully I will actually get it done and get it out of my life. All right, moving on to row 2 here. One of my bingo squares is a sweater for my mother. I have more sweaters than I know what to do with myself at this point. And I think that she would appreciate a sweater she sews, so she does know a little bit about the time it takes to make handmade things, and I think she would appreciate it. So yeah, I just need to sit down with her. I did take some measurements from her, but I need to ask her just like what she would like. I have this cardigan that I have been eyeing for a couple of years. I'll put it up here. It is called the Elvina Cardi, and it calls for, it's like a combination of knit and crochet, and I just think it's so pretty, so sweet. I just, in the Giga tank that I am testing, I learned to make granny squares, and so that was sort of proof of concept. I think that I can do it. I think that the squares in the Elvina are a little bit different, like, than just your straight granny squares. So I, might have to learn a little bit more, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that I can acquire those skills. So that might be one I suggest to her. But yeah, I think a cardigan would be good because she definitely gets hot, and, so I think being able to take it off and on. I'm thinking something that she could wear over, dresses and with skirts and things, would be nice. So anyway, I just need to talk to her about what she would like and show her some options and think about colors. And for yarn, I if I make it out of wool, which would be my preference, I would definitely need to use something that is very soft and not scratchy. She is pretty sensory sensitive. And so I'm thinking maybe Knit Picks Swish is what I would use for her. That is a superwash that people use a lot in like children's garments. And so yeah, I think that that would be soft enough not to bother her. Okay, next up we have the Easy V. So this is one that I think I bought as soon as it dropped from Caitlin Hunter. I'm intrigued by the V-neck and the different kind of shaping. If you read in the project notes on this, people say that they have a lot of fun making this one. And so yeah, I thought I would give this one a try. I'm gonna have to dig around for some yarn. Hold on. Okay, I have gotten the yarn out and spared your ears the crinkling. So for this one, I am going to use High Desert. This is Knit Picks High Desert. The pattern calls for a worsted weight wool, and this is going to be my main color. It's called Sugar Beet Heather. Really pretty, very dark purple plum color. And then these three guys are going to be my contrast colors. So I think those will go very well together. Yeah, so excited about that one. I love High Desert. Now that I've pulled this out to show you guys, I actually should take these to my little office and put them on the shelf there to be wound into balls so that I might actually start working on this. Because I've been thinking that I would like some easier, just plain wool knitting to intersperse with my summer knitting to rest my hands. So yeah, maybe I could go ahead and get that one started, because I think there will be a lot of mindless stockinette in that one once it gets past the very beginning section. Okay, as I was digging that out, I realized that I actually forgot to show you guys my last bingo square on that top row. So on the last one on the top row was try a new technique. And I probably should have done more of those. I, should have left more spots for new techniques because I need to be pushing myself to try new things. But I am going to count these in that one. So these are my sailor slippers. If you have been anywhere on the internet in the last year, you doubtless saw these. Very viral pattern, and I think they're really fun. Mine are really dirty because they have not been washed since I was last wearing them. I wore them all winter, really enjoyed them. So the new to me technique was felting, and it was a lot of fun. I was not sure at all how it was going to work because, I'd never done it before, but it worked wonderfully. And the instructions are really, really good. So I think the pattern deserves the hype. I know that there are other felted slipper patterns out there that I am sure work just as well, but these are a great one if you've already bought it. And I used Knit Picks Wool of the Andes worsted held double for mine, and they felted up beautifully. So if you can't get a hold of the drop snow, this makes a great substitute. Okay, so we talked about Easy V. My next bingo square was just can't resist new pattern. So, I always get very excited at some point about some pattern that is taking the knitting world by storm, and I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be taking everybody else by storm, but something that I get really obsessed with. And so I am going to count my Ravenna Sleeveless for this one. So I just finished this very recently. I was a test knitter, and this pattern has just released a couple of weeks before I'm filming this. And so I think when I was envisioning that bingo square, I was intending for it to be like a newly published pattern that I could not resist. But This one I was obsessed with as soon as Michelle started teasing it. So it's interesting. Some designers, you know, will show you their process. They'll, you know, drop little hints, or even not little hints, like they'll show you the full thing as they're working on it on social media. And I find that that really works to get me super excited about the design. I remember the year that the field sweater released. I was so excited. I had been following all the testers on seeing that on Instagram, and I was obsessed with that one, and bought the pattern as soon as it dropped. And so showing it really works to get me excited. There are some other designers, like Wool and Pine is an example of this, where they don't want you to show the full garment. Even it's not a secret test knits, but they still don't want the full garment like revealed ahead of time. And for those, like, it just, if I'm watching a designer, like, and you know, I just don't get as excited when I can only see little bits and pieces, if anything, for months before something drops. So seeing this one, like the whole design process come to life, like really made me excited to test this. And anyway, yeah, super happy with that one. So I'm going to count this in that category, even though it wasn't a pattern that I bought. All right, then we have one that was on my list for at least a year before I finally got around to making it, and that is the Stornoway. So I had the Stornoway sweater on the list, and this one is actually, well, is it the, yeah, this is the tee pattern, and I made a tee. So I just decided, I think that this one is made out of DK weight. I know. This one calls for DK weight, and I think that the Stornoway sweater calls for worsted, and I just thought this one would be better for my climate. Even if I'm wearing it even if I wanted to make a long sleeve one to wear during the winter, a DK weight is actually, I'm gonna get more wear out of that. So anyway, very glad to have this one done. Let's see, this is by a pattern by Cheryl McTari, and I used Knit Picks woolen cotton for this one. Oh, and I forgot to tell you on the Ravenna Sleeveless, this is a pattern by Mouche Friends Knits, and I used BC Garn Bio Balance GOTS, that's a sport weight. All right, so next up we have a whole bunch of patterns that I have not actually made. Don't really have anything to show you for these either, because I don't necessarily even have, well, actually I have made some of them as well. Anyway, I've got a bunch coming up here where I'm just going to be showing you things. All right, so the last square on row number 2 is a pattern by Jennifer Beale. This is a designer who is doing some really interesting things, very different from you know, a lot of what you see. She does a lot of color work. She does really interesting, like, design techniques. She is, I think, an architect or an engineer or something like that before she became a designer. And so you see a lot of really interesting construction techniques. And so I've been really wanting to try out some of her patterns. So the pattern that I am interested, I think, in doing of Jennifer's is called the Step Aside. I'll put a picture up. It's really interesting. You sort of do origami with your yarn to create these pockets on the side. There's also color work worked in the round and steeked. The color work goes all over down the arms. Anyway, I just think it looks very interesting. I don't know that it's gonna look great on me or that I would want to wear it out of the house, but I think it looks very cool, and I am just interested in doing it for the experience, if nothing else. This is the yarn. I'm thinking about using this. This is Knit Picks Upcycle Alpaca Blend. The pattern calls for a worsted weight, and quite a few yards, like 1,800 yards. I don't know, quite a bit. And I actually don't have enough of this that is not worked up, but I have a really giant shawl that I made with this that I have literally never done anything with. Like, I finished it and it went off my needles, and it's been like just living in a bag in a closet. And like, I didn't even block it because I don't use shawls. Anyway, so I could unravel that, and I think then I would have just enough of this yarn, and I definitely have enough of like a linen-y contrast that I could use for that. So, and I know from doing my Nordic Bloom and some other garments with this that it felts really well. So I think that this would be a good fit for that. Okay, so that is the end of row 2, sorry. Okay, so on row 3, another one, I'll just put a picture up of the book and the pattern. I bought the book Mouche Friends last year, and it's a book of stuffed animal patterns by Cynthia Vallier. Sorry, I don't speak French. And they're cute, but her patterns are extremely well written. If you have not made stuffies before, I would definitely recommend giving her a try. I found hers to be the best stuffy patterns that I have ever worked. I've done a lot of clear garlands, and clears are great. They're just often not worked in the round. So all of Cynthia's patterns are worked in the round, and she just like thinks through everything and has you put in like the face as you're sort of working on it, or right after you finish the head. And she really holds your hands as much as possible on the finishing details, which I find is often what is the hardest with stuffed animals. So yeah, I really want to make another one out of that book. I made Nana the duck last year and was just absolutely smitten with her. And so I think I'm going to do Alphonse the pig, or his wife, Mira, or maybe both. Who knows? Probably not both. Those are, even though they're small, they're a lot of work. So, but yeah, I just want to make myself sort of work through more of the animals in that book. Next up on the bingo card, I had said vest, and I have made not one vest, but actually 3, question mark, and that's not even counting the Ravenna. So definitely, yes, not even question mark 3, definitely 3. So I made the Nordic Bloom. Sorry, it's unbuttoned here. Oh, and this is the upcycle alpaca. Yeah, I use that here. And this is kind of, I think this is the color that I was envisioning using next to this purple. I think that'll look good. Anyway, so made this one, and then I also made this guy who turned out to be a vest since I lost steam and also did not have enough yarn. So vest number 2, and then I also made this vest. Oh, and you know, I just realized I just made another vest that released last week. So the Yarn Keeper vest. So I made 4 vests. I might have gone a little vest crazy. My 90s girl is coming out. I loved a vest in the 90s and still like them now. I'm very happy that they're back in style again. But yeah, I think I was counting the Nordic Bloom in that category. Okay, and then I have a free space, and then I have a couple that I have not done anything with, but I am thinking about what I want to make those out of so that I can, maybe get yarn for them at Knit Picks' big summer sale that is going to be happening next week. So probably by the time I get this uploaded, that summer sale will be underway, and I think that they're gonna have a 2-4-6 day again, and that is the best day, where they have skeins or balls of yarn for $2, $4, or $6, and you can get some wonderful deals. So I'm sorry if I'm saying this after that has already passed and isn't doing you any good, but I would get on Knit Picks mailing list, and you can look for them to have another one of those during their big sale, which happens in mid-November. So before Thanksgiving is when the big sale happens. Okay, so rewind. What was I saying? Okay, so I am interested in making one of my spots was the Scotchbroom Wrap by Wool & Pine Designs. I've had this one on my list. I would like to make a wrap. I think a wrap sweater would look really good on me. And I just was looking through my closet because I was like, you know, I need to coordinate this because obviously like it has to be worn over something. I think it would work best with dresses. And so I went through my closet and was like, what color could I use to go with, you know, dress wise, what I have. And I think I'm going to go with a very light pink color. And that will work for a couple of different dresses. And I was really, you know, browsing through Knit Picks website, trying to think about like what I could use my points to buy from their site that would work for this. And I didn't like some of the Scotchbroom Wrap projects use variegateds, and I just don't really love those. Like I feel like it obscures the pattern a little too much. And so, yeah, so I didn't want to use either Hawthorne or Stroll effects. But I also wasn't sure that I wanted like just the regular Stroll. Which is their sock yarn. I looked in the Mayizas and currently they're sold out of like the colors that I really would be interested in on that one. They have gloss in fingering, but I have spoken before about not loving gloss. It's like a silk yarn and it pills and it's just not my favorite. Sorry, I keep bumping the tripod. Yeah, so after browsing around and thinking, well, maybe I'll just have to use, you know, somebody else's yarn for this, I remembered that they have Mighty Stitch in fingering weight now. And Mighty Stitch is like primarily acrylic. It's 80% acrylic, I think, and 20% wool. So I have used it before for garments for my children, but I've never used it for myself. But I was like, you know what? That fingering might actually be perfect because I feel like that would be pretty drapey. It would also, so one of the things that sometimes I don't like about Mighty Stitch is that it has a little bit of shine to it. Like I think it's the acrylic, right? It has a little bit of shine, but I think a little bit of shine in the Scotchbroom Wrap would actually be really nice. So I'm going to get there. It's called Blush. And I think I'm going to make that Scotchbroom Wrap in that. And I'm really pleased that I now have a plan. And I have actually coordinated it in my closet. So hopefully that color looks okay, like once I get it in person. But that's what I'm thinking. And it's also, Mighty Stitch is very inexpensive. So that one would be very cheap just to even buy it. Yeah, like without using my yarn bucks. Okay, and then I have had this one, my eye on this one forever as well. That is Andrea Mowry's Wool and Honey, which is one of her earlier patterns. It's got this really interesting honeycomb detail on the front. And I think what I was thinking I would make this one out of is palette. I think that's going to be the closest Knit Picks equivalent to, I want to say she used Brooklyn Tweed. It was a 2-ply though, and whatever it was. And so I think palette would work. What I really struggled with on this one was, and I have not necessarily resolved this, is that Andrea's version of this and like a lot of the projects are very fall colored, which makes total sense. Andrea's is this really pretty, like, you know, golden mustardy color, which, you know, totally goes with the vibe of that garment. Unfortunately for me, I am a like summer in terms of my skin, and so yellows and rusts and these, you know, very, very fall colors do not look good on me. They, yeah, just don't look good. I don't feel good when I wear those. So as much as I liked other, you know, seeing them on other people, I just know that's not a color that I'm gonna wear. So I was browsing through thinking, okay, what's something that would read fall, but actually look okay on me. Because, you know, a lot of the colors that I look good on, they're much more like spring and summer colors. You know, it's the lighter, medium to light colors, and they need to be cooler toned. And that, you know, those just don't read fall. So anyway, I found this color. I'll put the ball up there so you guys can see it. This is called Bouquet Heather, which to me kind of reads as more fallish. It looks kind of like a dusty, dark plum, but they said that it's got, violet and pink and yellow notes in it. And I think that the heathering on this, like, it is quite heathered, and I think I would really enjoy working with it because I love to see the colors play when I'm knitting in my yarn. And so I think I would enjoy that. I think it would show the pattern off, like it would let the pattern stand out because it's a lighter color. And yeah, so it's got that going for it. So that's a possibility. Or I was looking at Grizzly Heather, which is, again, fallish because it's brown, but it's kind of they said it's a medium cool brown, which I think if I'm going to go with like a dark neutral, like a cooler color is going to be better for me. So a cooler brown. My big concern with this one is just that the pattern wouldn't show up very well. So I don't know. Thoughts on what you think of those two. Can you guys think of a color that I'm not thinking of that would be fall-ish, but also work on somebody who has a very, you know, peaches and cream kind of complexion and doesn't look good in fall colors? Okay, so that's the end of row 3. Row 4, we have Wonderfluff Blanket. Okay, the yarn has been located. So this is Knit Picks Wonderfluff Ombre. I never know how you're supposed to say that. This is bulky weight. This colorway is called Kale Heather. This is Knit Picks' blown alpaca yarn. Let's see, it's 70% alpaca, 23% nylon, 7% merino wool. I've used Wonderfluff a lot. I really like it. And I've actually made a blanket from the black to gray to white gradient that they have, or that they did have. I think they have discontinued the ombre colors. Yeah, so I got these at a very deep discount. I have either 4 or 6 of these, and I'm just planning to make a blanket with them. The blanket that I have already made is very highly used during the winter. We sort of tussle over who gets to use it because it just makes this incredibly light weight blanket, so you just like barely feel it on you, but it will heat you up. So yeah, and the one that I made before was just like basic garter, I think. Maybe, I don't know, it's been a couple of years since I made that one. I'll have to put a picture of it up there, but it went really fast. That's all I remember. It just took a couple of days of working to make it. So yeah, this is just one I need to sit down and do. Probably won't get to this one until I won't get to it until winter though, or until it gets cooler, because who wants to work with that in their lap? Not me. In the summer. So let's see. Next up, we have the Wool Sister. So I'm putting up a picture of it. This is one, if you watched my flops and fails, at the end of that video, I sort of said, here's my takeaways, you know, from what I've looked at. And I have just realized that I love how these sweaters look on other people. I wish that I were a person that could wear them, but I just need to accept that I am not. Anything that ends in right at hip length is just going to make me not feel good about what I see in the mirror. So it's just with sadness that I can do what I want. It's my bingo card, and I'm just going to take this one off. I have not decided what to replace it with. Actually, I could do another technique one so that I could make myself learn another technique. Maybe I'll do that. But I am going to be replacing this with something else. All right, and moving on across row number 4, I said use Candyfloss. So this is yarn that I received as a prize from last year's Summer Tea Make-Along, which I am participating in again this year. I highly recommend that you do as well. If you look for the hashtag Summer Tea MAL 2026, or maybe just 26, you should find it. Julianna Knitter is the person who is hosting it. Yeah, I think if you Google around, well, I'll link it in the video. How about that? So if you look down in the project, or sorry, in the description, I will have linked to her Instagram, so you can hop over and find out about that Summer Tea Make-Along. But anyway, I won one of the prizes. It was such an amazing prize too. So this is, I got 6 skeins from Kimber's Cozy Creations. And she had chosen, she was like, you know, it's the signature Candyfloss is the colorway that she was offering, but I did get to choose what base I wanted to get that on, and I chose the Luxe MCN fingering, which is 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. And it is super pretty. It doesn't look as pretty wound up, you know, as it did when it was in the skein. But I have wound it up so that I will be more apt to use it. And so what I am thinking I'm going to do with this is make I have a sweaters quantity. So I'm going to put it together with, I think, some white Aloft from Knit Picks, that's their mohair. And I'm going to make probably the Keep It Warm sweater. So I'll put a picture of that up here. It's this very pretty cabled sweater. And I think that with the Aloft, like, you know, it's kind of dangerous to use a highly variegated yarn like this, especially, like, I think it's light enough that the cables will be okay in it, but even still, like, you know, it's kind of a challenge to use a variegated in a garment. But I think that the mohair will tone it down, and in my vision, it looks really good. So we'll see if it actually knits up that way, but I'm really excited about that one. Would really like to use this very special, beautiful hand-dyed yarn. Right, my next item was to knit with Elder Stash. And this one I've actually crossed off because I made knitted knockers with Knit Picks Shine that was all the way back from 2015. So if you watched my flops and fails video, I talked through my struggles with the Miette pattern, and the shine was leftovers from the second/third iteration of the Miette pattern. And yeah, so I have officially done something with some very old stash, 11 years. So that's almost as long as I have been knitting. So it doesn't get any older than that for me. Okay, the last item on row 4 is knit DK socks. I do have some DK sock yarn. What is it called? It's Drops DK. I'll have to put up a picture because I can't remember it. I haven't used it. I got it just to try, and I'm planning to make my husband some DK socks. He wears his wool socks all the time. In fact, even though it's now almost near 100 degrees, he is still wearing his fingering weight wool socks. So I know that he'll get some good wear around the house with DK socks if I make those for him. So has not happened yet, but hopefully, since I have it on my list, I will get to it before the year is out. Okay, starting on row number 5, something cabled, and I don't have a pattern in mind for this. I'm kind of, I am a chronic test knitter, and so something is going to knock this one off at some point. I'll put something in here that, that would count towards it. I'm trying not to double dip and count things in multiple places. But if you count like little twists, I guess I've already done something cabled, but like my book club cardigan, right, is cabled, but I don't want to count that one because I'm already using it for its own square. So, yeah, I'm sure that something will come along and I'll get that one knocked out, on its own. Something lace was my next one. And this one, again, I have done a lot of lace, especially recently because I've been doing all the pointel stuff, but, I'm counting my April tee there. So this is one that I finished, in April, in March, maybe. It's by Suvi Knits. I test knit it. I knit it in Borrego Renew, which is a DK weight yarn that has now been discontinued, sadly, because I did really enjoy working with it. Yeah, so marking that one off. And then I have something color work. So I can count either my Nordic Bloom that I already talked about or my Everything is Fine. This is in Tarja. So I could count that one in color work, or I could count Nordic Bloom because both of those use, this one's stranded, but both used color work. I've also done color work mittens. I've done a lot of color work. Oh, actually, here's my Alpine Bloom. How about that one? That one hasn't already been counted somewhere else, so we could count her for color work. This one I just finished in last month, and it is knit out of Knit Picks. The main color is Twill in the colorway Jade, and then my contrast color is Knit Picks Chroma Fingering in the colorway Ice Lolly, and that one came out super cute. Yeah, Caitlin Hunter is really getting a lot of play in this, isn't she? Okay, and then next up I have an Audrey Borrego pattern. So Audrey was a designer. She had quite a number of designs, and she decided to step away from designing and very kindly put all of her patterns, like just changed all of them to free. And I think she is not providing pattern support, and that might have been part of it, that she was just done providing the pattern support. So she's like, they're free, do with them what you will. And that was how incredibly generous that she chose to do that rather than taking them down. And so I, have put a ton of those in my library, and I would really like to make one of them. So probably my favorite one. So like with Aimee Sher, part of the reason that I have not already done this is that a lot of Audrey's patterns are knit bottom up, which, as I discussed, is kind of my nemesis. And so yeah, that has been sort of a pain point for me actually deciding to do that, but I can be a big girl. I can do bottom up, and I want to make one of her patterns, hopefully badly enough that I am willing to take that on. And so the one that I like the best is Oleander. I'll put a picture of it up here. It's this very pretty V-neck lace pattern. I really like that original color that she's made it in. It looks like white or maybe a very very barely off-white. That looks really good. Don't know that like white's not necessarily a great color for me, but yeah. I really like I just think it looks really good. However, Ravelry did tell me when I was looking at what yarns people had used for that I have enough quantity of Galileo, Knit Picks Galileo, which is like it's wool and bamboo, I think. It has some plant fiber in it, and it's something that adds a little bit of shininess to it. And I don't think it's silk. I think it's bamboo, which would give it good drape. And I think that it would look really good in that. So like that's a possibility. The colorway though that I have of that is Valentine, which is a very pretty, deep red burgundy color, like you would imagine, for Valentine, which is a color that actually does look really good on me. I was very excited when that color went on sale. Because I'm sure that I picked it up in one of the big sales or the summer sale at probably, $2 or $4 a ball. So I got it very inexpensively. But so yeah, so I could make it in that. It just doesn't fit my vision, which is closer to hers. But it is a color that I like, that would look good. So maybe maybe I would do that. The other option that I was thinking of would be Comfy Sport, which is like mostly cotton with a little bit of acrylic. And I'm working with Comfy Sport right now and actually really enjoying it. So I'll see how that, I'm almost finished with that make, and I hope to get to wear it in this next week and see how it feels in the hot weather. But that oleander is super lacy. So, it's going to be cool, but it also, like, you have to wear a camisole under that one because it's just too revealing otherwise. I mean, I want to wear this to work, so, it's got to have something under it. So yeah. I don't know what direction I'll go with that one, but that is how I'm leaning in terms of, like, I had just said Audrey Borrego pattern, but I do really like that oleander. She also has like headbands and things like that, so I could knock this one off more easily, but I'd like to do it with garments if I can. Okay, and then finally, we have Fix Lochton. And actually, I'm not sure how to pronounce this one, but it is a pattern that I test knit for, what's her name? Her designer name is River Road Knits, and I'm not remembering her actual name at the moment. But it's this very cool vest that has lots of cables, lots and lots of cables. This was a labor of love. And it has kind of a high neck. Sorry, it's not buttoned right now. So it has kind of a high neck, and it has this big, I think this is fisherman's rib, the button band. And I love everything about this except my button band is wavy. You can see how it's just waving. And it's so bad that I did not even wear it this last season, even though I love it. Because it's so perfectly fallish. Like, put this over a plaid shirt and it looks really good. So fall. But yeah, it looked so bad with the wavy button band. And that is not the pattern's fault. I'm sure that it was all me and I picked up too many stitches. It didn't look that bad when I initially did it. But I think half fisherman's rib, whatever it is, like, has a tendency to grow. And so I think just as it got worn and as it relaxed, it has stretched way out. So basically, this is not going to be that hard to fix. I just need to remove these button bands, which were the last thing that were put on. I just need to remove them and redo them. And I just haven't done it for a year. And yeah, so that's bad. I need to, like, this took me hours and hours and hours. This was one of my main projects in the summer that I made this 2 summers ago. So you know, with all the hours that I put into this, I just need to take the, you know, 2 or 3 or 4, you know, whatever hours it is that it would require to put that button band on. It's just going back and reading the pattern, reading through to see what I was doing, and then taking the time to take it off. Like, I just haven't done it yet, but maybe since I'm talking about it with you guys, I will get that done. I mean, I'm hoping, right, that that this will hold me accountable. That's why I made it, put it on the bingo card to start with, and that's why I'm making this little mid-year check-in. So yeah, I think that is finally everything. Sorry if this got super duper long. How is your plans going? Did you do a bingo card? Did you do a make 9? Have you gotten things done that you had intended to? I did find this really helpful to sit down and kind of look at it, because I have remembered occasionally that I had the bingo card and cross things off, but it was helpful to sit down and look at this and make this list before the Knit Picks' big summer sale starts, so that I can kind of go in with a game plan of like, hey, these are the things that I'm supposed to be working on that I told myself that I wanted to work on. So I need to look for stuff that would help me to accomplish that. Yeah, so it was helpful for me. Hopefully you guys got something out of it as well. But I think that's everything. Thanks so much for spending some time with me, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.